Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning. And today, I've got a new shell that we've never tested, and it's definitely a very stout loading. I've had a number of you guys request this type of shell over the years of me testing stuff, and this past spring we did test some of the 20 gauge version of this with some pretty impressive results. So when I saw these on the shelf, and they were actually on sale for a really good price when I found them, I had to pick up the last box they had to see what they could actually do. But as for the load I got out here today, I brought out some of these, the Browning TSS turkey loads, but these ones are a 12 gauge 3.5 inch 2.25 ounce payload of TSS 7 and 9 shot blend, moving about 1200 feet per second. The last time we tested one of these Browning TSS blend shells, they were really impressive in 20 gauge, but we have not tried any in 12 gauge, and this is a 3.5 inch shell with a 2.25 ounce payload. It's going to be pretty stout on the shoulder as well, that's for sure. So when I saw this box sitting on the end cap of the shelf marked at $23, I had to pick it up because typically these are like $50+ a box. So we'll see what these can actually do. But as for the shotgun we've got to run them through, I brought out the Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag. This one's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for the choke I decided to start with, we've got the Indian Creek 675. This choke generally does well with most decent TSS loads, and it has done well in the past with a couple different blend shells as well. So I figured we'll start here, see what we get, and we can obviously move chokes a little bit from here based on what we see for a pattern. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the turkey target at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see what we can get from these big 3.5 inch Browning TSS blend shells. I'm expecting to see some pretty nasty looking results, so let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, that shell gave us 1314 through the chrono. Boss claim is 1200, so we are a little bit above that claim. And for a TSS 7 and 9 blend, that's starting to get up and move on out a little bit. And yes, they were definitely a stout shell in the recoil department as well. 3.5 inch shell with a 2.25 ounce load. They're not nice on the shoulder, but how did they actually pattern? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40 yard paper, and yeah, that is completely devastating to say the least. Unfortunately, we were a touch low and a touch left, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think it probably has to do with that particular Indian Creek choke shooting low left, if I'm remembering correctly, but it's been months since I last tested that choke. But it is what it is. That's why we use the backers so we can see our pattern, and yeah, it is completely devastating down there. You have a super hot, but a very even core area. That's about as close to a perfect circle of shot as you can get right there on the paper. There's no voids in it at all until you get to the very outskirt edges, kind of up there right in front of that turkey. So yeah, that right there is 40+ yard capable all day long. You could easily take that to 45 and 50 yards and still absolutely hammer it. You guys won't be able to tell on the camera here, but it is a beautifully even mixture of both the 7s and the 9s. So you're going to be hitting them with both pellet sizes. Around the edges, we do have a couple little scattered bits and pieces over there on the left. Same down there at the bottom, a couple little flyers and a couple little bits over here on the right as well. It's nothing major, but there is a few flyers and stuff in it. But can you really complain about a couple flyers when you have that kind of a pattern? To be honest with you, that might be starting to walk into the territory of being too tight for a lot of people. Because at 40 yards, if that's dead center on that turkey's head, he may not have one left when you get up there to him. So for me, that is absolutely a field hunting combination right there, where shots are going to be at least 30+ yards, and you can kind of keep your shots out there at 40 or 45 too, and they can't really sneak up on you and get right up close and personal quite as bad as they can in the thick woods. If you set your decoys up at 40 yards, that's going to absolutely hammer. Now it is a 3.5 inch shell, 2.25 ounces worth of payload. They're not nice on the shoulder, and they are pretty expensive on the wallet too. Granted, the Browning shells aren't as bad as some other 3.5 inch loads out there. I think that most of the time they're between $50 and $60, I'm pretty sure, but still, that's pretty pricey. I mean, you're looking at least $10 a shell. So is that performance worth it for you? I definitely think the pattern is worth the price, but you don't need a 3.5 inch shell with that kind of a pattern to get a turkey with it out at 40. Either way, I think that pattern can speak for itself, and since we were a touch low and left, I I will go ahead and pop up a 10-inch equivalent circle around the core area so you guys can see what it looks like, because it is super impressive. But yeah, I expected to see some nice results coming into it. The 20 gauge Browning blend shells did great, and it seems like we've got a winner here with these 12 gauge ones as well. So now we're going to have to try them through some different chokes and see what they can give us. A little less choke constriction. It's probably going to be rather nice here if we're getting this tight of a pattern. If we can open it up just a touch and maybe pull some of those flyers around the edges in, that's going to be about perfect. I don't know if we can really ask much more out of it, but it's absolutely worth testing through some other chokes and seeing what we can get. But that is nothing short of devastating for today, that's for sure. That is absolutely a nasty combination. Alright y'all, well, what do you think about that performance right there? That's nothing short of devastating, to say the least. Unfortunately, I was unable to find the wad, which really annoys me. I even checked back the footage and didn't see it fly over the target either, so I have no idea where it went out here on the range. Should be easy to find, but I guess this one's not for whatever reason. But you just can't argue with that kind of a pattern right there. And that might be starting to creep up on the verge of being too tight for some people. I know a lot of people aren't gonna subject themselves to 3.5-inch recoil in the first place, and at that tight it's going to be an absolute screamer in at 20 yards as well. So you better hope that you have a red dot or something and you put that dot right on them, or else you're probably going to miss them if they're bobbing and weaving up right close and personal with you. It's going to make things a little bit more tricky. I expected a nice pattern coming into it, and that's absolutely what we saw, hands down, but I don't know that I was expecting it to be quite that tight either. So it's still very impressive. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Browning TSS blend shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern or a combination you would ever hunt with? Or is it too tight for you? Or a 3.5-inch shell is too big for you? Or is that the absolute perfect combination? You like screaming tight patterns with the biggest shell you can get. I know there's a lot of you out there that fit that bill. So is that something you would use? And what other choke combos do you want to see us run those Browning loads through? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.